Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 466 for September 7th, 2022. My name is Russell Frost, and I have the good fortune to be here with you again for another week of exciting advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy. And look at the marvelous panel that I have the good fortune to be surrounded by. And the less I say, the better they make me sound. So let me introduce them, except for the guy tapping on his mic. Let me introduce them, and we will get this show on the go because we actually have a good amount of news tonight. My friend in Northern California, the only person who can claim more heat than me. Quick, someone prove me wrong. Georgia McKenzie.
Yes, it is. Yes, I am hotter than you. Strictly on an atmospheric.
In every way, Georgia McKenzie.
Only on an atmospheric level, because I am at 109. We did it, people. We did it, Joe. 109. 109 degrees, and this is cooling down. So yeah. If any further questions, just talk to the melted puddle that will be on this chair towards the end of the show. I got nothing.
I'm sweating bullets, and I'm going to move on. My friend in the Great White North, the founder of the Waterloo Regional Electric Vehicle Association, and the founder and host of the Tesla Life, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
And a happy camper since we're sitting at 65 degrees.
Are you serious?
We're 69. You're right. Nice.
You
just love to grind that in our face. That's really what you do.
Awesome. 65 degrees outside. I was just out for a while. It was
just
wonderful.
showing off up there in Canada. Look at me. I'm not sweltering.
I get to suffer about the 72 degrees and sunny weather in San Diego in the middle of the winter. So take that, Russell.
Give him props for that.
I don't know what to say. So I'm just going to say, you're right. Turnabout is fair play, and I deserve that.
On with the show. Let's get moving.
On with the show. Next to him, at least on my screen, is my friend in the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello. I'm having some mic problems. So this wonderful thing up here is just a floating, useless piece. I don't know what's going on tonight. We'll figure it out, but let's get on with the show.
It's a status
that
symbol.
To be your quest marker. Basically, you're waiting for somebody to come over and ask you what you need them to do.
There you go. Well, and a man who can take care of his own technical details, Mr. Casey Green.
So last time I came to you from public shooting range in South Dakota. Did not realize it. My wife freaked out. She's like, let's go. And I continued to do the show. So on screen now is a map generated by Testify, which generated it from looking at the data in my car on the trip. So on Tuesday morning, we started out outside DC and ended up in Rapid City, South Dakota. There's some numbers involved. So we did 58 drives for a total of 3,474 miles. And total cost, if we had to pay for supercharging, would have been $183.84. I did the math. If we had a fossil car and did a dealer oil change at the end, it would have been $970 instead of $180. And Patrick pointed out that I was apparently very fuel efficient at 392 watt hours per mile. And we spent 21 hours and 15 minutes charging at the superchargers. However, that would have been significantly lower if we had just done supercharging like a normal person, and every time it got slow, just gone on to the next one. However, there was only one driver, so what I did was I just slept until we got the warning that Elon would be reaching into my pocket, and I don't like Elon reaching into my pocket, so we would then at that point get up and leave, and. And so the drive, the charging was a third of the length of the entire drive. On the way back, I told you guys on my way out about the Lordstown plant. On the way back, the navigation routed us directly past the Rivian plant on the way to the normal Illinois supercharger, which wasn't even on the way. Because, look, there was no need for that. But I appreciated it. I got to see a whole bunch of the Amazon vans just parked out, getting ready to get loaded on the train. A smaller handful of the Rivian R1Ts, and I think I saw a Rivian R1S or two, but it's hard to tell when you're supposed to be paying attention to the road out the corner of your eye. It's like I may have, I may not have, but I think I did. And it was a fun little trip. I do not recommend doing it solo, like a normal person.
Oh, you froze there. You don't recommend what, Kate? Casey?
Oh, doing it solo and without stopping.
Yeah.
So stop for the night at some point and then continue on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a long ass drive. Says a guy who's done a lot of long ass cross country drives.
Yes. Oh, I still need to pay my Chicago tolls because they get the iPass there. Like somewhere halfway through Illinois, they stop taking Easy Pass, and then on the other border, it comes back.
Wait, so you can pay your bill later on if you don't have it?
Yeah, but
because they only give you that one option, and if you let them generate you a letter in the mail, you got to pay for the stamp and then their time. So I need to get on there and deal with that.
The stamp.
iPass garbage. You don't, screw your iPass. Take Easy Pass, like every normal other state. Sun Pass, some of the other freaking regional crap. Come on now, don't make up your own shit, Chicago.
Well, you know how that goes.
It's Chicago.
Well, Casey, I'm glad you had you're back safe and everything was good. That's a wonderful thing. And did you go as far as the Black Hills? It looks like from that map.
Yeah, we did. We saw them, and they're beautiful. We did not go and attempt to see Rushmore because, like you said, with the timeline we were working, it wasn't worth doing it then. But we will do it at some point, just because. Why not?
Yeah.
We'll be back there.
Absolutely. Yeah, drive right past Mount Rushmore and see the Badlands.
Yeah,
which are
that's coming up next.
Way amazing. Yeah,
nice.
That's of course my opinion. And did we lose all our South Dakota listeners? I didn't insult them. I said their Badlands are amazing.
You did.
And the grasslands are beautiful.
And you also mentioned last week that you can no longer get right up in personal with the rocks. So that does make them less attractive.
Yeah, that's
if you're a mile away. I mean, I don't have any telephoto lenses like that.
Oh, we've been there. Well, let's start with our first news story because we've got a ton of stuff. I want to go to Mark, who has some good news. Yay, good news.
Yay, good news. Good news. I'm going to try to share my screen. I don't know if I'm going to be blocked or not. Casey/Russell.
Blocked?
Uh-oh. Oh, blocked?
You got to give him rights to share.
There we go. Like that?
Okay, are you seeing my map?
Yes, we are.
Okay. This is good news story about the adoption of EVs in the U.S. market. So what we've got here is a series of lines that BCG has estimated would be the adoption lines for electric vehicles over the year. Oh, I blinked out.
There you go.
Am I
there
back?
we are.
Okay. So what we've got here is 4 lines that show 2018 through 2022, the estimated lines of adoption. And what's great about this is that, of course, this company, BCG, has been estimating this over the past 4 years. And every year, they underestimate how many EVs are in the market. So they look at today's date here in 2022, and it's looking at the sales of EVs, sitting at about 6% originally in 2020. Now it's pushing up to about 10%. And they're forecasting out to 2030, whereas in the beginning, back in 2018, they said in 2030, we would have a 21% adoption rate. But with the numbers that we've seen back here in 2022, it keeps pushing up. So the next in 2020, they said, it'd be 26%. And then in 2021, they said, no, it's going to be 42%. And their latest prediction, 53%. So what's great about this is they've been wrong each and every time. So what that means is that we are pushing further and further into adoption quicker than this chart can keep up with. So that's fantastic news, because that just means EVs coming in faster than we predicted. And 2030 is, of course, just under 8 years away from today. So if they have been consistent, and they have been over the past 4 years in predicting this, they're probably still underestimating it. So we may be into a 60 or 65% in 2030 if the amounts that they've been showing over the past year have been correct. So it's good news. More and more EVs, and it's a U.S. chart. So we're seeing what's happening in the States. So that's fantastic. We kind of here in Canada, even though we are awesome, as the title indicates, we lag behind a little bit when it comes to the number of EVs that are in Canada, but we're close to what the U.S. does, so we're bumping along with you guys. So that's fantastic news, and we look forward to that chart being wrong again. So yeah, great news to start off the show.
Yeah, I mean, humans have proven to be really bad at predicting exponential curves, and I'm glad they were wrong in our favor, and not the other way around.
I think we keep saying wrong, but wrong has a negative connotation.
Pessimistic. I'm glad they were more conservative than reality.
Thank you. Exactly what I was going to say is I think it's reasonable. I respect a projection that is conservative, that is not, I mean, and it doesn't look like they've been that, looking at the curves as they are now, not the projection ones to like 2030, looks like they're really close, I guess. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, the one time I would be cautious with somebody being ultra conservative on a prediction is if this chart was made by the fossil fuel industry.
Sure, absolutely.
It's never going to happen.
Where's the line that shows actual EV adoption?
I think it's the square, isn't it? No, it's 2030. Okay,
2030 right there.
Yeah, that's an annoying thing when you make estimates. You should have the actuals on there for all the data that you currently have.
Yeah,
right.
Would be
right. And again, it's good news. It's good news. And does it? Let me just and maybe this is, what is that, self-selection bias, Patrick? But does anybody here surprised by that?
No. To a certain extent,
I'm somewhat surprised.
Yeah, you have a right to be surprised, because honest to goodness truth is we've had so much negative press towards moving in any green way. We have a lot of political and cultural pushback from
the people who invented the EPA.
Very, very small minority, but they're pretty damn loud and vocal. I mean, they are the crickets of the world out there, and they get all the attention. So it's a little surprising, but something, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about capitalism. Those of you who have watched me know I do not do the capitalism bad K thing, because it's so much more complex and simple than capitalism. Capitalism is a societal driver. If people weren't buying these cars, we wouldn't be hitting these targets. You have to get people to buy. The more people buy, the less you are able to push back against environmental things. That's just how it is. Because if there's a large enough customer base, corporate power in politics and to shape policy is what allows us to push forward on environmental policy. That is that. It's basically riding on top of a tiger and having to control it. And that's what you have to be doing as a human being. That's how you have to deal with corporations. It is a very dangerous, large creature. You must steer with a thin bridle. And it's steering us right now. We're steering it because we're buying these cars. We're pushing for more sustainable electric vehicles. We're pushing for a greener future. And we're doing it faster than they thought they could push us. You will often hear from environmentalist criticisms that goals in policy aren't fast enough. It's not large enough. It's not big enough. Well, they have to be extremely conservative because they know they're pushing into headwinds. But if we make that change happen, I'm going to liken this to the move on gay marriage. For a lot of people, they were very pissed that Obama seemed to be kind of fencing, even though I remember then State Senator Obama being all for it. And when it became president, then it became hedgy. But that's because the honest to goodness truth is sometimes we need to be led into a new good thing, and sometimes we must be given the ability to look like we're leading towards new good things. And this is a new good thing, and I think it's excellent news that consumers are moving much faster than models. That's wonderful.
Another easy and good thing about this is that typically doing the green thing will either make you or save you some green. And the bean counters love this. I just got done, like, in the interim between the two shows. I just watched somebody explaining why more airlines are going for and buying electric airplanes for their passenger routes. This one airline they were giving the example of, it makes just about $1 a passenger for this particular run they were examining. But even with the extra cost of an EV and depending on if they want to install solar to charge the thing, they ended up making about $600 a passenger on the same route with an EV airplane.
Yeah. If you make it profitable, they can get over that initial cost for investment. Because they can literally look on the page and say, "Hey, we've got a high bridge to get over to initially invest in this purchase, but once we do, the money is pays back for itself. We're going to be making it forever."
Exactly, and the point he pointed out with why they would even bother with the solar is same thing. High upfront cost, but now they don't have to worry about the variability of the fuel cost, because now it's a capital expense. It's been sunk, it's been amortized, and the sun is shining. So as long as the sun doesn't stop shining, and you don't forget to wash the panels when they start to reduce their output, you're good.
Yeah, just to go back to kind of the main point here. I made a prediction in 2014, so now 8 years ago.
Okay.
And here, let me show you what I did.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, just to see how this
Show
works.
your work, Patrick.
That's right. Can you see this? Oh, nope, that's not right.
I thought it was your screen, but it was another Georgia. There you go.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And,
Are you seeing my screen?
whoa,
now?
there we go.
Yep.
Yes. There it
Okay,
is.
so you can see this was June of 2014, so 8 years ago, and I go through all these other technologies and what their adoption curves look like: smartphones, VCRs, and eventually I get down to plug-in car sales. So if 2030 is right about here, 50%. So 50% in 2030. So it took them 8 years to catch up with my estimate.
Nice.
So yeah, when this post is a decade old, I'll bring it back and review it and see how I did.
There you go.
And hopefully I was pessimistic.
You're looking bang on right now.
The weird thing was when I started it, I mean, EV sales, I go through it in that chart. They were like 0.3%. I mean, it was so small. And whenever you have a curve like that, it's really hard to predict when you just have a tiny bit of data. So, which is why I was looking at all the other things, and I went through all my assumptions in there. The whole post was trying to figure out when the last gas car will be sold and how long it'll be on the road, which was an interesting just thought experiment.
Well, I mean, if it's the last one, I think there might be some collector factor in it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I look forward to the days when ICE cars are collectors.
Yes, just
like horses.
Mm-hmm.
We lost Georgia. Well,
We did.
hopefully she'll come back.
We had two of them for a while. So.
Yeah.
Hey,
There's Georgia.
There's
Yay.
Georgia. Yay.
I'm just saying, you can just tell me to go.
Instead, Georgia, what I'm going to do is dump the next news story in your lap.
Oh, thank you. I think.
Thank you.
All right. All hail Dark Brandon. So,
All hail
what?
Dark Brandon.
all hail Dark.
Oh, sorry.
So we
creepy.
are.
Totally lost.
I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not gonna go for it.
Okay.
But we are having a pretty interesting resurgence in domestic manufacturing. In other words, we got a boom of factories, y'all. CEOs are pulling production out of China and bringing it back to the United States. And those of you who have followed me here since I started, I have been big on domestic manufacturing as an important part of both sustainability and national security. So sounds good to me. Why?
Real quick.
What?
BYD was complaining that they couldn't take advantage of the incentives for their customers because they build in China.
That's right. There's things
They work.
the problem is that you know what? It's also the pandemic. It's also the issues with the supply chain that we had with the pandemic, because hey, it's not coming out of China. Well, guess what? China's on a major lockdown. I mean, even right now, China's having lockdowns over COVID. COVID ain't over, folks. COVID is still killing, I think domestically, about 500 people a day. So, and that's just here. China is going through another lockdown, and yeah, but American executives got a bright idea about a year or so late. What if we actually brought this right back here? Intel creating a manufacturing facility in Arizona.
That could never work.
It's a lot. That is a lot of AC. But
Didn't they used to be in Texas and California?
well, the reason why they're in Arizona and these kinds of deserty areas, and why it's actually cost effective, as I stop cracking jokes, is because it's lots of cheap, empty land. It's not useful for anything else. And you can actually have a manufacturing facility with very little stuff around it, and makes up for the need of having to keep things pretty cool. But now we back to the story. All right. But that trend is not slowing down just because on the whole, we've resolved a lot of these supply chain issues, and we seem to be coming to some kind of a weird living with COVID and whatever else comes along situation in modern society. So since we decided to keep going, we are bringing all that stuff back, and we're bringing more of it. What can we say? Onshoring, reshoring, nearshoring. That's the big buzzwords, and that's what's coming back here. Let's see. There's concrete signs that a lot of this, it's not just talk. New manufacturing has gone up to 116% over the past year, which is bigger than by 10% on all building projects combined. Okay. I don't know what that was.
Sorry, that was me.
Is your order up? All right.
It should be.
It's kind of funny on my screen. It looks like both Mark and Russell are reaching for the phone.
So we've got new plants going up in Alabama, Arkansas, Kentucky, Buffalo. Lots of smaller companies are also doing that too. Not all of it is reshoring, but some of it is just, adding a little extra capacity. But it's a sign, and it's a good sign. And frankly, for people who work here in America as well as live here, it's also a very good sign that we're kind of slipping away from the stupidity of an entire nation of landed gentry that outsources all that icky manual labor to some other country. We can't do it. We can't have a nation that's all high society on the backs of other people's labor. That's not how it works. It's an interwoven net. It's not a strata. So I think that's a pretty good thing. So yes, one more bit of good news in the pile.
I mean, why is it I have this memory that we talked about China, not this specific thing, but just, yeah. Okay. So their intimidation with Taiwan, the Russian war in Ukraine, and why China felt the need to pull this unforced error of threatening Taiwan when the Ukraine incursion is going on. And yeah, guess what? Some manufacturers are like, holy shit, we got to hedge our bets.
Russell, there is literally nothing, no level of brain power can overcome ego. Yeah. And when you're talking about a nation's ego, Russia right now is in the middle of the most massive case of hubris and ego, going absolute cluster that you have ever seen. And you can't pull out, you can't back off, you can't stop doing what you're doing. They're literally going the route right now of, okay, Europe, if you want gas, you got to let us do what we want to do. I mean, So yeah, hubris, ego, call it what you want. But when a nation's ego and wounded feelings, some all those strong military powers had some of the most fragile military feelings you will ever have, like Fabergé egg level fragile. And yes, that's what they did. And
China's got to be careful not to follow Russia down that slope.
it's a slippery, stupid slope.
It is. It's totally ridiculous because I get that their national pride or some bullshit is tied in with this Taiwan thing. I think the only thing we have to consider amongst the proper ideological moves of manufacturing in this country is China's still the biggest market on the planet.
Yes.
And people are going to want to be in there to sell to China. And that's going to be an irresistible lure. And it's going to be interesting to see who resists the longest and how they maneuver. Because, I mean, Apple, for instance, is probably the most obvious one. I mean, they're just so much of their stuff comes from there, yet, yeah. Anyway, that's all I got on that. Well, thank you, Georgia. We will that will be an interesting ongoing story, which I guarantee we will follow up on. Next up was a story that's been kind of floating around in my news collection for a few weeks. There was a story in the Washington Post, and this was back years ago. Actually, it's an old story, but it got some new currency. And the point here is that Americans love the vroom vroom. Americans love the vroom vroom, and companies like Stellantis, Dodge, are coming out with an electric car that sounds like a vroom vroom EV, which I still think is the dumbest possible thing, because it's super loud. It's not just a noise; it's like the idea
wake the neighbors loud.
Right. The idea is to replicate engine noise. And anyway, the story that got promoted was that car companies have been tweaking this for some time. And when I say tweaking, I mean, let's see, this was going back to 2019, the Avalon debut. Maybe I shouldn't, I already named names. Damn it. Oh, well. The Avalon in 2019 was that new generation, the first Toyota, I believe, that had a hybrid system for making the drive more exhilarating. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that there was acoustic passes from the engine into the cabin of the vehicle, augmented by digital engine noise that was timed with the motor that would play over the infotainment system, so that when you stepped on the gas, it wasn't your great grandma's Avalon. No. It was a TRD vehicle to be reckoned with. And guess what? People eat that shit up.
Yeah, BMW and Audi were doing it around that same time as well.
Lots of folks. Ford's been doing it here in this article from Drew Harwell, going back 7 years in the Mustang and the F-150. This is, he describes it as the dirty little secret. It's definitely not something they want to talk about, but it's definitely something they do. And on one level, I think, well, okay, the subtle in the engine, in the driving compartment part of that, if that's what people want, great. I'd rather have a switch I could turn it off. But is it what people want?
Well, I definitely don't want to be the neighbor being awoken by the Dodge million brand name EV. Like, I don't need to be awoken. Just turn those freaking speakers inside, and you can hear it and pretend that you're better equipped than you really are, and I could sleep in peace.
I agree. I think it's noise pollution if it's outside of the car.
But isn't noise pollution already there? Like, with the ICE motors already out there? Like, we can hear them on Casey Street. So obviously
it's the same guys, but in gas cars.
There's no mute button there, is there?
No. In fact, on the Mustang, there's the make it louder button if you have the 5.
Well, that's,
the Coyote engine.
That absolutely
need to make it louder button.
The one thing I have heard with regard to additional noise is that for some people, they are so trained to recognize car noise, that the quietness of an EV makes them very disorientated in knowing how they walk around. And I could see how perhaps for people with vision issues
That was the
that
argument from the Society for the Blind.
Yeah.
They said that, but really they just didn't want to pay to train the dogs.
I don't know about didn't want to pay the trained dogs. I could actually ask a friend of mine who is a trainer for these dogs,
Go ahead.
and see what she has to say about that. I'm not in the sense that I doubt that it might not be
There's definitely a
somebody.
component of it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind knowing, like, is there an issue with training the dogs to recognize? Although the dogs are visual, that's why they're there. They can see that.
Yeah.
But if you're out by yourself and I'm not even gonna give his true nickname, but we did have a local here who used the stick method because he didn't want to deal with a dog, and unfortunately, for those of you old enough, remember the phrase "danger prone Daphne did it again."
But see, as a driver, you're still responsible to not run into people. So,
Oh, but have you seen people?
yeah, I saw
sometimes
one of my neighbors at my house blew through a Canadian goose. Sorry, and
What?
yeah, just drove right through and then left it, and then like the whole
What?
line of cars that was waiting for them to cross. They're all trying to figure out the license plate number and
Terrible.
everything. Yeah.
No, I mean, I once had a situation, honestly, and I'm not joking. I was going up the street on the main thoroughfare in town, and a guy with a push cart turned and started walking straight into my car on the road. And I'm trying not to hit him. No one's letting me go. I got people honking at me because I slowed down. I'm not going to run over some homeless
Oh.
dude.
Not at all.
And people were getting mad and cussing me. And I'm like,
Yes.
this is still a living human being. I'm not running him over. Screw you. Okay? So it's not so, to a certain extent, I can see where the noise factor and the feeling of your senses, having grown up with ICE cars, are attuned to the noise as a sign that a car is coming, a car is arriving, this is dangerous. I mean, it's a little bit like, some of us don't actually have to put our hands on fire to know it's dangerous, because we get used to the sensation of heat and we pull back. And then some of us are the dude with the push cart walking straight into my car and me refusing to kill him.
So what I'm hearing is when we get that 50% adoption rate, we might be able to get rid of the stupid noisemakers.
Maybe. I think it's like consent. We're training people as we grow.
Patrick, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Oh, this just reminds me of there was a while where there were these fake horse heads you could put on the front of your horseless carriage.
Yes.
No.
Yes, there were.
anachronism. Yeah,
they were required for a while, weren't they?
Right, because people were not used to this thing without a horse head in front. How does it go? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so we're in that same stupid phase of.
Were these dead horse heads?
No, they were plastic horse heads or
Plastic
wooden or
horses.
whatever. But you either had to have the horse head or you had to have a flagger walk before you and another one walking behind you.
And
Right.
it also made sure that the
is
horses that were still on the
insane.
road weren't
Comfortable.
scared of the car, because you were just a strange, smoky, noisy thing with no head.
And I understand if you need to make some noise at low speed to help visually impaired people. That's not what we're talking about. This is just pipes to be loud,
Right.
to vroom vroom. Totally
So
different.
basically, it's rolling coal.
Audio,
Yeah,
audio
audible.
But noise,
Yeah,
but audible
absolutely.
coal. Yeah, because you're
Yes.
right. It is noise pollution.
They were
I
saying
don't wanna
160
conflate those two
decibels,
ideas.
wake the neighbor sound. And they were so
Right.
proud of it. And I was like, oh.
Assholes. Oh,
Right, that's what I was thinking.
I think the thing that kind of makes me sad about this is EVs present an opportunity to be different, not to replicate the ICE car experience, the smell of petrol, the smoke, the fume. They're awesome in their own way, and it's different. And rather than kind of allow that to take hold and introduce this new paradigm, like, wow, it goes like a bat out of hell and it's quiet. Instead, and I'm gonna blame this on me. People like me, I'm like, we gotta put noise in there. We can't have a quiet charger. That's insane.
But here's the thing: a quiet charger doesn't make the police go like this when you're lining up to do your what you shouldn't be doing.
Casey, once again, you are overestimating the ability for people to work out consequences to their actions before they have them.
This is why after Cars and Coffee, there's always a cop posted up, and there's usually a Mustang or one of the Mopar machines sliding sideways past them, and then whoops.
Well, I'm gonna use a stupid analogy, and I'm gonna talk about Impossible Burgers and
I like
Impossible
Impossible
Sausage
Burgers.
and vegan products.
Okay.
There's tons of delicious vegan food. It does not have to be processed. I love vegan food, but I definitely can't eat most of what's commercially available. I have to make my own because it's tons of fat,
Salty.
tons of salt, and you try to kill me. And why does it have to look and act like meat? It doesn't have to be delicious, but they think that by making it as meat-like as possible and taking out almost all the health benefits of eating vegan or vegetarian, that it'll attract the people who are dedicated carnivores. And I guess to a certain extent, they feel that making it as much like the ICE experience, right up to that thundering charger noise. I mean, we're all sitting there as Steve McQueen doing that bullet chase scene in our heads when we get behind a power vehicle. And the noise is a part of it. It's not quiet. Now, I would say, here's an MP3 player and connect it to Bluetooth to your car, and you can hit play as you drive, and you can do that to your heart's content. You'd be thrilled. Why are you wasting valuable time and energy engineering that? But that's me, and I'm weird.
Just for a counterpoint.
Go ahead.
Could this just be that these are groups just overcoming objections to EV? Could this just be
it's too quiet and heartless.
This is one less thing for someone to turn up their nose at because it still makes the sound that they're used to?
Yeah,
what could happen is that after a while the noise is not important because of the speed of it, because of the instant launch of it, because of all these things that we know EVs bring to the picture. Maybe we find that person doesn't use the external sound for a long time.
I hope there's a switch on that.
Exactly.
So to the Impossible Burger point, I mean, I'm not a veggie because I don't like the taste of burgers. So every now and then it's nice to get something that tastes very much like a burger. But you also have a point about
plant-based.
The health benefits of it being negligible. But yeah, it is plant-based, so I'm not feeling morally compromised by eating it.
I got nothing. Mark, I love your eternal optimistic noise as a bridge between ICE and EV. I mean, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, I mean, it's a fair point.
Well, if they all sound like dead cats on video, like they did at the launch, then the only people who would be using it after a while, like if they're doing it for video, would only be the ones that are doing it for the people in the area around them. Because from what I heard from the people in the audience, was like, oh, I can feel it. It sounded real. But on the tape, that thing sounded like somebody was playing like a kid's soundboard. Yeah.
I think the only thing I would add is going back to sort of the Harley analogy, which is that a lot of the Harley buyers
Harleys are one of them.
are done. They bought their last bike. They're old. They're not going to buy another one. They're big fans. It's not to say that Harley doesn't have lots of younger folks that love them. They do.
It's not enough.
I wonder if Dodge isn't catering to the most rapidly shrinking part of their market, which is people my age, dare I say, old white guys, like me, who are like, oh man, I had a Challenger in 1970. It was amazing, and maybe Mark's point is valid. Time will tell.
Well, I mean, look at the Harley EV. It's the loudest EV bike out there.
Yeah, and like I said in the past, if that's what it takes to bring people in, and that's fine. Plug-in hybrids are a great gateway. If a noisy EV is a great transition vehicle, fine. Welcome to the club.
Yep.
There we go. Well, speaking of welcome to the club, Patrick has an interesting story about a different kind of vehicle abuse.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about people being irresponsible with their autonomous drive systems. This one's not about that at all. So this comes to us from ynetnews.com. And living up to the site's name, you're going to say, why? Okay, so here's a brief. An Israeli man was detained after letting his dog take a joyride in his car in Jerusalem. Of course, he filmed it and then posted it on social media.
Of course.
Where it was then reported to the police, and he's now charged with reckless and improper operation of a vehicle and driving without a proper vehicle registration. So I just thought that was, yep. Nobody knows you're a dog on the internet. Well, apparently the police do know if you're a dog behind the wheel.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Whoops.
Nobody knows you're a dog. Yeah, I got nothing.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, I just thought it was a funny little story.
Yeah.
It is. It's beautiful. I mean,
Why is there a dog driving the car? Oh.
The show's
And
called
why
What Drives
would
Us.
you film it and then post it on a public internet system where it can lead back to you?
Right. Now, what would be fun is if you did that in a car that was certified self-driving and it had its permit, and just like when we do some in a parking lot, people try to chase the car down, like, oh my goodness, that car's getting away. That's kind of humorous, but this is dangerous.
Yes, definitely.
yeah.
Oh man. Oh.
George is speechless, I think.
I don't know how we've survived this long. We're so dumb.
Yeah.
You can't trust most of us with pointed sticks. What the hell? We are so weird.
Darwin is alive and well.
Oh man, this is why aliens are avoiding us.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The
one of the many reasons.
life is out there, and they're going, "Oh, this is the ghetto. No, we are not visiting that part. Lock the door, sweetie. We're zipping by."
You solved the Drake equation, the great filter. There really are aliens. They just hide.
It's like, oh no, hide the silverware. The weirdos are here.
Don't let the Earthlings
Drive
know.
is my dog.
Don't let them know that we know.
Nice. I don't know that there's that much more to say about this, but yes,
Oh, Lord.
don't let your pet drive your car. That's probably, don't take our stock advice. Do take our pet driving advice.
Yeah, we're going to give you a safety tip.
Weird one.
Okay. Well, let's go to Georgia to find out some plans that California is going to, do two different things at the same time.
Okay. Now,
Walk and chew bubblegum?
Hey,
we've proven to do that pretty
Virginia
well.
boy.
But here's the fun part.
I spent many years here, but I'm not a Virginia boy.
Don't make me stop this state.
Do you two need a room? Okay. So here's what's going on. I don't know if you noticed. California's a mild, having a mild heat spike. We're having a little hot flash. And we also happen to be one of the nation's breadbaskets. We are actually a huge agricultural powerhouse here in California, and we just so happen to also be a lot of irrigated desert land. So one of the things we've got a lot of canals up here, lots of open canals. And you know what we're having in the middle of a heat wave? We're having a drought. It's a freaking drought. And you know what we don't have over these canals to prevent a lot of evaporation of precious water?
An evaporative barrier. Yeah.
You got nothing. You mean we haven't done this? When you consider that California has driven a lot of innovation, especially in sustainability, the fact that basically we've got our water sitting out there in miles long open Tupperware containers, just dehydrating all over the place, like rain just falls from the sky on the regular here in California, should tell you that this is probably why we shouldn't have been doing social media development anyway. All right, now that we've ruined society, we're getting our act together and we
Yeah,
are
what?
putting covers on our canals. And not only are we putting covers on our canals, we're putting solar covers. Take that. I don't know if we have any rivals or anything, but you people out there who think that your state is doing something, actually steal that idea. Put canal covers on your state's canals. It's $20 million. It's called Project Nexus. It puts 8,500 feet of solar panels over 3 sections of the Turlock Irrigation District in Central California, which, by the way, very hard hit drought, and that's also a lot of farming communities. So keeping that water, that wonderful, precious water, is a big deal. It's going to start, we're hoping, by 2023 and be finished by 2024. And this is pretty good. It's aiming to use the water, it's aiming to protect the water and also improve energy management. It's designed to increase renewable power generation, reducing water evaporation, and also keeping the canals free of vegetation, which is also another problem. Not so much because we don't like vegetables. We love vegetables. We just don't need to be growing it in our canal water, because that's not vegetables that we can make a profit from. But
Feed people with.
Mhm.
I mean, although granted, sea vegetables are delicious, but they've already done. They've already got most of the funding together. This is the initial proof of concept, and they're hoping that if they do this, that it will show that solar over canal is a very useful design innovation, and based on a 2021 UC Merced study, showed that covering the 4,000 miles of public water delivery system infrastructure in the state with solar panels could save an estimated 63 billion gallons of water annually, as
Wow.
well as save a lot in energy and costs. This would generate about 13 gigawatts of solar power with the panels. And that's if we go for the full 4,000 mile project. So fingers crossed. We need to come up with this. We need to come up with something, because California, for those of you who live here, you've seen a lot. You've seen those once in a generation fires happening, what, every 2-3 years. I mean, it was just 3 years ago we spent about a month and a half in kind of an orange brown haze, and I wasn't even near any of the fires, but all of upstairs, I couldn't even really go outside. It was just that bad. So fires, we rarely are out of drought anymore. We got to do something. We have to work. We have to really make everything be not a single-use project, but a multi-purpose project. And this is kind of perfect for it. This means that we have a closed system that captures water. And again, really, we haven't done this before. We didn't think to do this.
I mean,
But
why aren't they in pipes or underground?
hey, man, I just live here, man. But yeah,
one cool thing about this is they're testing their hypothesis. They're trying this out on 3 straight sections and 3 curved sections of the canal, so they can see if maybe which is the part that they want to target first. Like maybe you save more water on the straight side, or maybe you make more power on the curved side. So we'll target them first, and then go from there for making sure that they for the what makes most sense to target for your implementation, which is really cool. Versus either just throwing them all out there at once, or we're saying, oh, it's too hard to try. It might work on paper, or maybe they tweak a little bit, tens of dollars. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I wasn't even sure if I would be able to do the show today, because yesterday at this point in time, I was just sitting on the floor reading the latest Blue Wolf action book that in my Kindle off the battery, because I had no power.
Oh no!
I had no power, and I have installed battery operated remote control lights that I generally turn on usually at night instead of doing plug-in lights, because I'm usually just chilling and either messing around playing video games or writing or watching TV or both. And yeah, no power. And instead of the 1 hour, we were told it was like a 3 hour thing.
So was
So
this a planned rolling blackout?
yeah, it was orchestrated on the grid. Like my friends who are about a mile and a half away called to see if I needed anything because they had power. So there were options if there was an emergency situation, and of course if I was on something equipment where I needed to have power to stay alive, I could have always applied for an exemption. But we're good to go over here. Um,
Wow.
but we need all solutions should be on deck because we've got to take care of the drought situation in particular.
Mhm.
We are a very critical food source for America and for the world. It's a lot like people not understanding that Ukraine is actually like a wheat a wheat exporter, a major back. I'm back, sort of.
Wouldn't didn't like you telling us that.
Yeah, I did not like it. It's oh my god, FSB is on in Melon. So,
This is so yeah.
but a lot of people didn't know that about Ukraine, so we didn't
Yeah.
find out about a lot of things until hey, there's a big war and wheat supplies.
Yeah, if you do need medical equipment that uses electricity and you've got the means, do get yourself some sort of backup
I
power
was-
portable.
I was in
Yeah.
the middle of finalizing an illustration and doing some work for my paying job when the whole thing went down. I said, I keep forgetting to get a UPS. Once again, I'm brilliant in hindsight, and I should probably do that. But
We all are. Yeah.
I should take care of that at some point.
I've been looking at one of these little solar powered, battery backup things. Anchor sells them, Jackery, a whole bunch of companies, and
Yeah, I went with the Delta series, but I also like the Zendure. They do all right.
What my problem is, of course, Russell, is that I'm for those who I didn't talk too much about I have made the stupid decision of attempting to purchase property here in California at this point in time. So literally every time I open up and see what housing prices cost, I think, wow, I don't think I will eat or buy anything for the next 20 years. So possibly I can afford a parking space. That'll be what, $2 billion?
woo!
So it makes you not want to buy that UPS until, of course, your power rolls out.
Oh my god!
But I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to see us really take this and move this forward, and I'd love to see other states pick it up. I want it to be a success because we need it.
I think
Abs-
California stole the idea from India.
Probably,
Mhm.
yeah. Innovation in developing
That's
nations is much further along than us.
And California's been talking about it for a while, but yeah, I mean, let's get it on. Let's do it. Why not? We have the
Mhm.
money. We can afford to try, and decentralizing the grid, covering the canals. Those are both two excellent things to do.
Right.
That was three things. Two excellent things to do.
You've already got the right of way. It doesn't take up any arable land. It's got lots of advantages. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Except unless you're a really tall boat in a canal. But that's not what those canals are for.
Not those.
Right.
It's not that kind of canal.
I'm being silly. Well, speaking of silly, no, this one isn't silly. Patrick has some news on an innovation that might help us generate
That-
more energy.
Is right. So most energy, certainly not all of it, but a lot of it is generated by somehow heating up water, making steam, and running a turbine. That's how coal plants do it, methane, nuclear, solar thermal. And there's obviously some exceptions to that. PV doesn't do it that way. Wind energy uses wind to turn the turbine, not steam. But since so much of our energy is generated with a turbine, something being heated and turning a turbine, Sandia National Labs has been looking at an old idea from the 60s of not using steam. And I thought this was a really cool part of this. They're using super critical heated CO2. And that is turning a specialized turbine that they are claiming can get up to 60% more efficiency out of whatever it is that you're burning. Now, you all know I want a future free from fossil fuels. I don't want to be burning anything. But we are going to be using fossil fuels for at least another decade, maybe two. And why not use them more efficiently? So so the CO2 is in a closed loop system, so it's not like they're releasing it. And I also just found it ironic that our problem is too much CO2. Let's take some of that and put it to work for us instead of it just being a pollutant. So I wanted to share that story.
I think it's great. I mean, yes, it's why the more we can generate, the more we can conserve, the better it is. Decentralize. Georgia, you're just about that melting point, aren't you?
Oh, it's like, I don't know. I'm too hydrated. I don't know.
I have a fan down on the floor blowing up, and it's
It's not working.
It's not working for me. I'm just gonna I'm sorry, Patrick. Just started talking about
You guys are
sweating.
melting because it's so hot. Yeah.
We're
Speaking of
melting.
sweaty balls.
That's it.
That's a perfect segue into the next story. Yes.
Oh my God!
I'd be
Exactly.
sweating if I had
Well,
one.
speaking of, Casey has definitely the awesome story of the night, and he is closing it out. Mr. Green, take it away, sir.
So Dr. Christopher Yang here, he was on Twitter. He explained that he performed what is likely the world's first Rivian-powered vasectomy. Power in the clinic went out, and the patient didn't want to reschedule because he already had the time off. Electrocautery was normal. Procedure went great. Hashtag Rivian stories, hashtag Rivian, and some photos. So here is he's run the extension cord all the way from the bed to the Rivian.
Oh my God!
Where's this going?
and then from the Rivian all the way under the front door and then into the procedure room.
Well,
What?
yeah,
No shot of the procedure room? Come
I
on!
hope there's no
I'm
third
glad there
photo.
wasn't.
I didn't see that one.
Oh my God!
Oh man, talk about truck D nuts. Truck D's nuts.
Now,
The truck D notification process has been completed.
I just have a feeling that we are close to finding tonight's show title.
Truck D's nuts.
No video of the surgery, please.
Unedited footage of the procedure.
Nice. That's now you don't really need a lot of electricity for a vasectomy.
No.
No.
I can testify. I know
Okay.
you don't, but nonetheless, the idea that yes, you could go to your truck for emergency energy to do something that's a great, that's very cool.
The real question is, will Rivian pick up on this and make it part of their info commercial?
It's part of the Adventure Network.
I was just gonna say you got to put the word adventure in there somewhere. A new Rivian adventure you didn't expect.
Adventure surgery.
In a world with rolling blackouts, we'll make sure you get snipped successfully. It's actually not the snipping; it's the cauterizing. Yeah,
Right, that part. The snipping
Oh,
seems
man.
pretty low powered.
Yeah, very like soldering iron power.
I don't know. If some guy's roaming around the neighborhood in his truck offering to give you a vasectomy, I don't think that you should take things like that out of the back of
free
it.
candy, children?
Definitely not. Run away. Run away. Do not take candy from this person. Run. That was beautiful. Well, Casey, thank you for lightening the mood.
Yeah.
And it was actually a fairly positive show. There wasn't too much ranting from me or anybody else. So
I think we did pretty well, actually.
that was
What's that
nice,
shirt
yeah.
you're wearing, Russell?
I know. You know what? Oh, thank you. Thank you for mentioning it. Look at this. Arcamoto, San Diego. As harsh as I have been, I feel like, on the other hand, I've also been just as much of a cheerleader for Arcamoto. So when I went down to do my review 2 years ago, they gave me the shirt. Now, I don't wear tie-dye. So right now, there are at least 3 of my friends that are forming an email like, I can't believe you were on the show in tie-dye. I deserve all of that. But nonetheless, here I am, Arcamoto, San Diego.
Oh, I like that, JT.
What did he say? Rivian? I think that might be the show title, kids. I'm going to copy that one. Okay. Yeah. Rivian's Down Under Adventure. For those of you not in the chat room.
Oh, that's definitely the show title.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Make it so.
CT.
I will make it so on YouTube right now while we do our shots. And I'm going to start with Mr. Rivian powered vasectomy himself, Casey Green.
So you can catch me particularly on Sundays at youtube.com/Kacey Green. Eventually, when baby decides what her schedule is and I can work around it, I'll get back to editing and posting pre-recorded videos. I've still been out there with the camera. It's just none of it's made it past like lining the shots up in what order they should be in. I'm sorry. That's what I've got. And then, of course, that project I was working on last week. Hopefully, I'll be able to unveil that to the world sometime in October, November.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Casey. Do look KACEYGREEN
Thank you.
after
.com.
YouTube.
After YouTube.com. Either way.
Yeah, .com. Find Casey's stuff. Yeah, I'm going to mix it up. Georgia. I want to get you out before you have a full meltdown.
Sorry, we're still too busy laughing about trucks.
Truck nuts.
You've been here.
Way
God
too
only knows
long.
why for a full freaking hour listening to us. And for that, we'd like to thank you. Go on ahead, hit like, hit subscribe, see if I can actually recover because I have tears in my eyes. I'm laughing so much. But go on ahead, hit like and subscribe. Every time you hit like, that tells people this is actually a pretty fun program to watch. And you know it is because we're tickled. Who cares about you guys?
Those balls.
But and while you're at it, when you're done with us, head on over to Tesla Life. Sit down, listen to Mark Coughlin talk about Tesla things. All things Tesla are covered by his channel, and follow him on social media because you can find him on the TeslaLife.com, Tesla Life, and Twitter, and of course, Tesla Life right here on YouTube. And when you're done, Casey's over there training all the AIs, getting Tesla cars to follow him, probably going to steal your car once he gets control of the world based on all of his research. But that means you should suck up to him now by liking and subscribing to his channel because that's
Free young car, be free.
Wild Teslas roaming the streets under Casey's control. And hit like, hit subscribe, and hang around for some of his chats because there's often babies as well as Tesla stuff. And don't forget, Patrick's writing over at carswithcords.net, and he is also part of the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. So is your source. He talks about a lot of stuff, not just cars, because he talks a lot about sustainability, because Lord knows when I'm ready to do solar, I'm going to be bringing all my questions to these guys here because, look, I have enough things in my head. I reserve the right to be dumb and take direction from other people who've already done the work. And that's all I got to say. And I'm bouncing it back to you, Russell.
Thank you so much, Georgia. I appreciate that. Patrick.
Hey,
what's going
well,
on
Georgia
in your
just
world?
did all my plugs for me. I've got a blog. I'm with the OEVA. Thanks a lot. It's been fun.
But really, yo.
There we go. Well, and do follow Patrick. And my thanks, as always, to Patrick for being the human who automates our news posts on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you for that. So
Thank you for the cutting edge work.
he's
Cutting edge. I
Oh,
see what you
it's
did
just-
there.
it never ends, does it? It never.
Well, I mean, it ends after the surgery.
Once you cauterize it, we're
testicular
done.
jokes are going to go on and on and on. Okay. Well, Mark Coughlin, you
This
got
show's
any
getting
testicle
nuts.
jokes?
Well,
Stay
certainly,
positive, test negative.
Derek thanks us for the snippy show. So,
Ouch.
but
Oh,
I wanted
God.
to, if you haven't already and you're interested in electric vehicles, look up National Drive Electric Week on your browser and check out the number of different events that are happening in about 2 weeks. National Drive Electric Week happens at the end of September and the very beginning of October. It runs to October the 2nd, so 24th to the 2nd. So take a look around, see what's in your local area, and go see an event, participate, volunteer, help them out. But wanted to ask you to go do that on your browser after the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. And yeah, National Drive Electric Week, super cool, super awesome. And Mark, up in Canada, does a lot of great stuff. So do what's the best place to go for that, Mark?
That would be just go to Google browser and type in National Drive Electric Week
in your area. But what if they're in the Waterloo-Kitchener region?
Well, if they're in the Waterloo-Kitchener area, they can come to our event. So you go to the same website, look up Waterloo, and you will see our event where you can register.
And you'll find me at Tepperman sitting on a Chesterfield in the parking lot for no reason at all. Yes. And if you're old enough to understand that joke, I'm glad you're here. As always, I want to thank Michael Manring for his theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. I want to thank Casey Green, Georgia McKenzie, Mark Coughlin, and Patrick Hunter for what has probably been the most hilarious show we've done in a while. And I want to thank Rivian and Dr. What was it? Christopher Yang?
Yeah, Dr. Yang.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Christopher. Yeah, I'm not. So yeah. Yeah, I didn't even say it, did I? No.
No, you did not. Don't say it.
Not. Yeah, electrified truck nuts. I can't even imagine. Anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat room, Bruce and Derek and JT and Jason Holder, who was there. Yay. And Derek, of course. Always great to see you folks in there. Thank you for being part of the show. And yeah, you're the reason we do this show. So do like and subscribe, please. It helps us, costs you nothing, and it's a big boost for us. I appreciate it so much. That's all I got. Until next week, tune in and find out what drives us. Thank you, Casey Green. See you, everybody. Be safe.
Stay positive, test negative.
Have a good one, everyone.